Minister, very good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. So Canada and India have been working to stabilize ties after the diplomatic strains. What concrete steps is Canada taking to rebuild trust while still addressing concerns around foreign interference and public safety?
We have, at a very high level, a security dialogue that we are engaging in with India. And that includes my deputy minister, for example, and it is a forum where we can raise these issues of concern to our country, including in the area of public safety. In addition, domestically, we are taking steps to address concerns relating to public safety. We have listed the Bishnoi gang, for example. We are putting in place heightened criminal law amendments to increase public safety concerns, and at all times we are respecting the rule of law, which means that the investigation into the murder on Canadian soil occurs without any governmental interference, and that essentially is what the rule of law demands. It says that no matter what, the legal process has to unfold without any political interference. And so we take it very seriously. In fact, in my joint declaration with Minister Jaishankar back in October, the entire first page of our statement was dedicated to concerns relating to the rule of law, public safety, and that security dialogue that we have.
And Minister, taking all the points in view that you just mentioned, how are you planning to see the strategic importance of India under its Indo-Pacific strategy?
Well, thank you for raising the Indo-Pacific strategy issued in 2022. That strategy is fundamental to ensuring that Canada has greater engagement in the Indo-Pacific. Over and above the Indo-Pacific strategy, we are also engaging in a trade diversification strategy, which means that across the globe, we are developing trade relationships, including with India. We're negotiating a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with them, which should be concluded before the end of the year. We have, in terms of trade diversification, signed more than 12 trade agreements over 4 continents in the last 7 months. And so India is part of the work we're doing to diversify trade, and we look forward to continuing to broaden the opportunities for Canadian businesses across the board.
And coming to the our next door friend, United States, how are we pulling along with United States now, especially these days?
We are seeking to double non-U.S. trade over the next 10 years. At the same time, we have the CUSMA in place, which allows approximately 85% of goods to travel tariff-free with the United States. And so the CUSMA review is being led by Minister LeBlanc and Janice Charette. That work is continuing, and at the same time, our relationship on a number of other fronts will also continue, including my work with my counterpart, Secretary Rubio, where we do work on international issues. I saw him most recently at the G7 in Paris, and we work together on global issues, including on Haiti.
And with rising tensions and disruptions like threats to key oil routes, and what role Canada realistically play a middle power in de-escalating the conflict and preventing wider regional instability, keeping in view the war going on between Iran and Israel and U.S.?
Well, your question really takes us back to the Prime Minister's speech in Davos,
yes,
where he said that Canada will continue to work with international partners on issues of concern, not only domestically speaking, but internationally speaking. So we are working with the Nordic Five on Arctic security. We're working with countries on the security and sovereignty of Ukraine through the Coalition of the Willing. And in the Middle East, I've been engaged since February 28th with the Gulf countries, with the G7, trying to work towards de-escalation, regional stability, and opening the Strait of Hormuz. We're very pleased to see that a temporary ceasefire has been reached, and I understand, having spoken with my Pakistani counterpart today and yesterday, in fact, that the ceasefire negotiations are going to continue on Friday in Islamabad. So more to follow on the work Canada's doing internationally.
And Canada has ruled out re-engaging diplomatically with Iran without regime change. How does this position align with Canada's broader emphasis on diplomacy and conflict resolution?
Well, indeed, we are continuing to work around the world in multiple organizations and bilaterally in order to ensure collective security and defense. NATO is a perfect example. That is an alliance in which Canada is a founding member, and we are always looking to see how we can contribute to global peace and security. We have Operation Reassurance on the eastern flank of NATO, for example, where we are very much focused on collective defense and deterrence. At the same time, I am engaged throughout the world to ensure that we're putting our best foot forward diplomatically, contributing to Canada's long-held values, international law, global peace and security, gender equality, environmental sustainability, reconciliation. Those are all Canadian values. And when we look at our foreign policy today, it is also about being pragmatic in terms of what is necessary for the domestic economy. So I call this principled pragmatism. We must be principled, we must adhere to those long-held values, and we must also be pragmatic about what is necessary for the Canadian domestic economy and our defense and security.
And Canada has recently emphasized multilateralism, civilian protection, and diplomacy in crises like Middle East. Is Canada shifting toward a more assertive middle power diplomacy? And how does that differ from traditional alignment with allies like the United States?
Well, this is a good question, but our diplomacy right now is very pragmatic, as I mentioned, in order to address emerging issues. So Prime Minister Modi, Prime Minister Albanese of Australia, and our Prime Minister recently signed an agreement relating to information technology and data sharing. That occurred on the margins of the G20 in South Africa. So you can see that as a middle power, Canada will continue to work with other countries on issues of concern while staying true to our values. That's very much about the work that the Prime Minister outlined at Davos, but also the work that I do every single day to be pragmatic and principled every day in our foreign policy.
And what would you like to say in closing?
Dhanyavad. Thank you for having me here. It's a wonderful chance for me to see you and everyone here at Red FM, but also say hello to the broader community, and thank you so much for all the work that the community does to build Canada strong.
Thank you, Minister, for joining us. Thank you.
Dhanyavad.